I received a letter from one of my graduates of a wilderness first aid course who was able to apply what he learned in class. Let's read his letter. I was hoping I would never have to use what I learned in your class, but I did this weekend. My father and I were working on the farm, and he lives outside of the Golden Hour. It's about a 90-minute drive to the nearest hospital. We were in the field, and he began acting weird. He said he was feeling tired and kind of dizzy. He told me to keep on working. He was just going to sit down and rest. Nothing was wrong with him. I noticed that he was sweating on his forehead, and he had his right hand holding his left arm. Jeff, the signs and symptoms were exactly like you described in your chest pain class section of the Wilderness First Aid course. He had weakness, sweating, denial, pain in left arm, and I started running sample history on him and asking him questions about the pain he was experiencing. My dad was having a heart attack, and I had no cell phone service. I started carrying a first aid kit on the tractor about a week ago. I grabbed it and some water, and I told my dad in a very calm voice that it might be a good idea to do as I say. I gave my dad 4 chewable baby aspirin, and I had him start taking sips of water. I slowly helped him into the tractor, and we drove back to the house. At the house, I used the landline to call 911. I sat my dad in the semi-reclining position on the couch, and I had him continue to drink water. The EMTs arrived in about 30 minutes and took him to the hospital, and I followed in the truck. I learned at the hospital that my dad had one artery at 90% blockage. The doctor asked what I did, and I told him about the water and the aspirin, and he asked me if I was a medical professional. I told him no, that I took a wilderness first aid class. The doctor told me I did exactly what I was supposed to do, and what I did prevented the blood clotting in the nearly blocked artery. He said that I probably saved my dad's heart from permanent damage. So what an excellent story with a positive outcome. Now, I want to go through this letter and I want to talk about what this graduate did and what this graduate did right. I'll be referring to my book, Wilderness First Aid Made Easy, and we're going to be looking on page 25. And so we see the signs and the symptoms, and sure enough, this graduate's dad was experiencing many of those signs and symptoms. And so the caregiver did exactly the right thing. Put the patient in a position of comfort. And he kept calm. And he tried to keep the patient calm. You know, if a patient asks you, do you think I'm having a heart attack? The correct answer is, I don't know. I don't know, but I'm going to take really good care of you, and I'm going to stay here until EMS arrives. And that is exactly the truth, because even I, as an EMT, I don't know if the patient is having a heart attack or not, and I won't know until we apply a 12-lead EKG to the patient, and we can take a look at that ST wave. And so we have no idea. So that's the truth. You have no idea if the patient is having a heart attack or not. Ask sample history, see if the patient's allergic to aspirin, and if not, give that patient 4 baby aspirin. That is going to help prevent clotting, provide the patient with frequent sips of water. And in this case, this patient wasn't prescribed nitroglycerin, and so there was no nitroglycerin to give. And calmly evacuate the patient to the hospital. So we see here that this caregiver did exactly what he was supposed to do, did exactly what he was taught in Wilderness First Aid, and this patient had a positive outcome.